How do you transmute beliefs?
So there's a process that if I were to just explain it verbally, you might be like, okay, how does that work? I could literally do it with you in real time. I don't know how interesting you think it would be, but you would experience it.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Today's guest is Brandon Epstein, an elite mental performance coach.
Some elite fighters have no mental coaches, but some of them do. We had this guy, Brandon Epstein, the other day. He works with quite a few UFC fighters, and he's got a very specific protocol that he mentally prepares them for.
We're holding on to these emotional traumas from the past, and they become our subconscious programming. So he just cleared it for me. And then I was like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Today, Deep and Brandon are going to talk about mental strategies that the elite performers use to operate at the highest level, and even do a live session on the podcast.
Wow. I totally understand now why you're the GOAT, bro. This show is all about simplifying success and realizing potential with the one life we have, 1% at a time. My guest today is my brother, Brandon Epstein.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Very grateful to be here.
Thank you for coming on, bro. I know we've been trying to line this up for some time, but we made it happen here in Miami, and I'm so excited to make it happen. Bro, there's like so many different identities I could like assign to you, and I know this is something that you talk about a lot and is core to your message. You know, I could go into you're an author, a mental performance coach, entrepreneur, a dude who was just on Joe Rogan. But the one that piqued my interest the most and like what I feel like really truly embodies you is the subconscious engineer. I love that. I love that title and identity for you, because that's exactly what I feel like you do, and I'd love to dive into that on today's episode.
Yeah, man, would be happy to, because this is what I do all day, every day. I'm literally rewriting the code, and I always tell my clients when we finish the session, I'm like, listen, we just did an OS update, right? I was like, it's not going back. That's the beautiful thing. A lot of times you do like therapy, or you do, and not to disparage therapy in any way, it's great. But a lot of different personal development things you do, it's kind of like you get this high, even meditation. And I love meditation as well. I practice meditation, but it's like you get to this high, and then you kind of revert back to how you felt before.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of like a massage. It's like, that's how I feel about massages sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, I feel so relaxing. Great. An hour later, all my kinks are back.
Yes. And so when you do this OS update, as old guys, like the old you's dead. Like, has your iPhone ever gone back to the last version? No. Like, this is it. Because we're going so deep into the subconscious, and you know, I use a lot of techniques to get people there, but the main one is like hypnosis. So I get them into the subconscious state where like they kind of lose sense of time and space, and they're able to get to these extremely deep levels, and we get to that code that lives in their emotion. Like most people are trying to solve problems in their head. We're actually going into the emotional body to get to that code. And like you said, man, I just find out those broken pieces of code that like create confusion, lack of clarity, frustration, anxiety, self-doubt, and we clear that, and energy can't be created nor destroyed. So we're literally transmuting it into a new fuel source, a propulsion system to bring people towards their goals. So I love it, and I'll take it, man. Yeah, that's what I love to do.
I love it, brother. Going back to kind of origin stories a little bit, I think you and I have some overlap there where we both had football dreams growing up. I grew up playing football, although I didn't get to play in college or go to that next level. Shoulder surgeries, all that stuff, you know, not to be that guy, but you know, like, oh, I would have made it to the league. I would have made it to the league, dog. No, but, you know, I really loved how you told that story in your book, The Success Code. And I'd love it if you could share a little bit as well about, you know, how that impacted everything. And the guy that's sitting in front of me today, like, you just wanted to be better in football.
Yeah, that was it, man. Like, I think when we're very young, teenage years, we're looking for an identity, a sense of self, a sense of community, and football gave that to me. You know, I had my bros, all my best friends played. It was like, yes. And so by the time I graduated high school, like, you know, they ask you, like, what do you want to do? What do you want your major to be? Like, what do you mean? What do I want my major to be? Like, I don't know. I haven't learned anything. I haven't had any life experiences. So it was like, football, that's my major, right? So I went on to play football in college, and, you know, a lot of us, you know, were studs in high school, and then you get to college, and I got that rude awakening of like, you're not going to immediately be the star of the team. And so I was riding the bench my whole freshman year, wasn't playing. And then so in the off season, I was looking for solutions, man. I was just trying to find a way to get on the field, and I was doing it like the typical meathead way, and
Slamming protein shakes
yeah,
and just like
bulking
lifting
up,
as much weight as possible.
drinking raw eggs, and that brought me into a supplement shop in my hometown. We had this January break, so I went to a supplement shop and I was looking because I didn't care, man. I was really willing to take anything. And so they have pro hormones. We're pretty much steroids, right? And so I was like, let me get that tee up. Let me get stronger. If I can get stronger, I can get in the field. I go in the supplement shop and I'm looking for the magic pill, literally. And the manager of the shop at the time happened to be a real life mystic. And he was studying, getting his master's in neuroscience at the time, but he was also really into health and bodybuilding. And so he was like 5'6", 230 pounds, jacked.
Okay.
So, he had a little respect there.
Yeah.
And he started asking me, he's like, well, man, how do you feel? Like, how's that side of thing going for you? I'm like, how do I feel? Like,
dude, I'm just trying to get jacked and fast.
And nobody really turned me inward before that in my life. Nobody ever reversed it on me and was like, how do I feel? And there wasn't this talk around mental health back then. So I wasn't aware that I was anxious, but he had me do this exercise. And, if you're listening to this and you're not driving, you can do it right now. He just said, look off into the peripheries of your eyes and just start breathing through your nose. And I took maybe 3 or 4 of these breaths, and it felt like I was in busy traffic beforehand and the traffic just stopped. And that was the first time I realized that I had crazy anxiety. And a big thing that held me back on the football field was that in performance anxiety, which I just wasn't aware of. If you're not aware of your problem, you're not going to fix it, right? You got to see it for what it is. And so that sent me down this whole path of learning about meditation and learning about the energy system, the 2,000-year-old Chinese medicine system that architects the whole body around meridians and chakras and how do we move energy. And it was all applicable to me because he's like, dude, if you can start to breathe into your root chakra, you're going to be more grounded. I was a defensive lineman. So he's like, you can get grounded and you'll be harder to move and you can knock people over. And so I got really into all of it. And for whatever reason, it really piqued my interest more than anything I'd done before. And I just took to it like a fish in water, man. I started meditating for hours a day, practicing these techniques. Came back the next season, dominated, was a starter, had some standout games. And not only that, but when it comes to energy work, there's the yin and the yang. So the yin is the healing aspect of it. The yang's the doer, the action, right? The masculine and the feminine. So I was using the yang to dominate on the field, but I was using the yin to help heal my teammates because these techniques he was teaching me could be used to heal. And so it's really not good for a 19-year-old's ego, but my athletic trainer called me the guru, and she basically was celebrating me for being able to help my teammates. I could help them with and these are things that you can use like hypnosis or meditation to relieve pain if you have a headache or a migraine, help teammates with that. But I also was able to heal with my hands. I was able to use energy work with my hands to help take guys' pain away. And so, before the games or practices, guys would come to me and I helped them out as I could. And this just lit a fire in my belly of yo, this is something that actually comes easier to me even than football. This is an identity I can attach on to because I'm getting affirmation. People are celebrating me. I feel a sense of self-worth. And that set me up, man. I've been doing that for 17 years now. And I've been just going down that path.
When you talk about this mystic, this coach of yours, this supplement shop dude, sorry, what's his name?
Sensei Clay.
Sensei Clay. Let's call him Sensei Clay for the rest of this episode. Shout out to Sensei Clay. The meridians, the chakras, a lot of this stuff, people just write off as woo-woo. And, I'm Indian. I grew up around, so much astrology and palm readings and the cosmos and grew up in the Hindu faith. So all these stories and whatnot. And I thought a lot of it was just bullshit.
Yeah.
And, then there's all the cultural conditioning and programming and whatever, all that stuff, right? But for me, I'm super interested in this stuff, but I feel like when I peek behind the curtain, I'm like, that's kind of overwhelming. My question is, where do you start? Where can I start learning about that stuff a little bit more in not an overwhelming way?
Yeah. I feel like it has to be applicable to something in your life. If you just try to pick up a skill, we both live down in Colombia, if you're just trying to speak Spanish and learn Spanish, but you're not living in a South American country, like it's not like giving you that direct feedback loop and positive reinforcement, then it's gonna be hard to stick to it. So like for me, I learned it for football. Like that was my why. So I think you have to use it as a tool and apply it to something. You have to ask yourself, like, what do I want? Like, do I want more peace in my life? Do I want to feel more abundant? Do I want to get better in relationships? Like, do I want to get better in my career? You have to really identify where it is, right? Kind of plant that subconscious GPS and like, this is where I want to go. And then reverse engineer it and think about, okay, how could these tools benefit me in potentially getting to that goal? And so the path that I laid out for people who walk this path with me, and I talk about in the book, is understanding that you can call them whatever you want, but we have these chakras or energy centers that align the center of our body. And usually what creates self-doubt or anxiety or fear or any sadness or any negative or undesirable emotion that you feel is usually a blockage in one of these energy centers. And so it's just an experience in itself to explore that a little bit. It's like, where do you hold tightness in your body? Is it in your chest, in your throat? Is it in your solar plexus? Is it in your lower stomach? Like, where do you feel tension when you think about getting to your goal? And then you can start to explore that a little bit. Be like, well, what is that feeling? Yeah, what is that emotion? Starting to feel into it. And then actually identify the emotion, right? That's how we kind of look beneath the veil, is like, what am I feeling right now, really? Why is it when I think about going on a date with a woman that I start to like feel anxious or worried or doubt myself, right? And if you allow yourself, usually we try to compartmentalize, think, move forward. But if you actually slow down enough to go into the feeling in one of these energy centers, wherever you're feeling that emotion live, and you explore it, you can start to uncover the root of it. And you can ask yourself a question like, what am I believing to be true that make me feel this way right now? And it's like, that is how we write out a piece of code that shows you what creates that blockage. And then you can actually do something with that. And so all that to say, there's so many ways to explore this world, but you have to ask yourself, like, why? What do I want from it? And then, when you're seeking, the path will appear.
So it really comes from like presence and like supreme self-awareness on like where you're feeling that emotion and then why you're feeling that emotion. And like, I guess you have like a set of questions, like kind of sequentially, that you ask yourself.
And more so than intellectually why, but actually feeling deep into the feeling, going all the way into it, almost like you're so deep into the emotion that like you would do anything to get away from it. You're sitting right in the middle of the fire. And then you're asking yourself the specific question, what am I believing to be true right now that would make me feel this way as it relates to this thing that I'm thinking about?
Okay.
And that is going to be the path right there. And there's probably a number of these things, these beliefs you might be holding that hold you back, but it's like, that's how we start to uncover it. And once you uncover it, there's all the great Zen proverbs and they're all true, but what you can't accept won't change. So it's like, if someone comes to me like, I work with a lot of professional athletes, NFL players, like, like everyone's, I just got this contract and all these guys are talking shit about me. And I see it on social media. They're saying I'm not worth the money. And I go, okay, you're not worth the money. You're not. And I look at them, you're not worth the money. And they go, what do you mean you're not worth the money? And I make them go through that ego death of accepting you're not. And if you can actually accept that, it kind of dissolves the energy.
Kind of sets you free a little bit.
Yeah. And so once you accept it, you're free. What you can accept can change. And then you can surrender that old story and realize that was an agreement you made. That was a narrative you created that was put inside of you. There's emotional scar tissue that's built up through your experience of life. And so you're like, yeah, you know what? I had enough experience in my life that people told me I wasn't enough or I wasn't worthy. That now I believe it to be true. And you accept that, it creates a space to choose something new, which is the opposite. That's the alchemization of the progress, right? The book, The Alchemist.
Yeah.
That's literally what we're doing, right? Alchemy is just flipping the polarity of that belief. So the opposite would be, I know I'm more than good enough for the paycheck I just got, and just making it about yourself. Yeah.
What was a belief that 18-year-old Brandon held that now was holding you back?
Oh, I believed I was worthless. Man. In like my early childhood, I had some sexual trauma that happened to me, and it planted this deep seed of unworthiness. I felt like it was my fault. I felt tremendous shame, and I just carried this worthlessness. It was the same worthlessness that made me doubt myself in every aspect of life, whether it was dating women or playing football or anything. It was just like when the pressure was on, that was exposed. And fortunately, I've been able to release that, and I believe I'm worthy now. And now it's like more of an expansion into like, okay, well, what next? Right? Because that's what you have to continue to do. There's like this sense of wholeness and worthiness. And then there's these levels. It's like you hit the ceiling. You're like, whoa, I never thought I would get here. And then you have to move through it again. Am I worthy of this next expansion, this next expansion, this next expansion? I think that's just the spiritual journey. It's not like a destination. You get there. I'm worthy of everything. It's more so of continuing to condition your nervous system to expand into more worthiness.
And as I hear you talk, I'm kind of coming to a conclusion myself because, I talked about the football thing before, right? And like growing up playing football, like being an athlete, I identified so much with it. And it was such an important part of my upbringing, because all the positive things, right? Like the camaraderie. I love the practices. Now, when I look back and think about it, it was actually like the practices and being with my brothers and like having this common goal and, all the preparation and like the laughs, the big hits, the fun, all that stuff. Also, then the glory when you play, like that's also amazing. But, I went too deep into that and I made that a part. I thought I confused it with who I am.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I am a football player.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But also it's like at that point in our lives, it's like, what do we know different?
Right.
You want something to attach your identity to. And it's like all your friends are this. We're tribal beings, right? Yeah. And so this is our tribe. This is who I am. And that feels good. That feels comfortable. I mean, take a dude in his late teens or early 20s and ask the existential question, who are you without achieving anything or being connected to anything? It's like, what?
Yeah.
What do I do with that?
No, for sure, man. And the dark side of that coin is like when I lost a sport, when I had surgeries and I couldn't even, I was getting looked at, but I couldn't go to the next level just because of how much damage was done to the body.
Yeah.
And that broke me like psychologically. Like I didn't know who I am anymore. And like I was lost. And now I'm searching and clasping and clawing for a new identity that I can like wrap myself into. And so when I went to college and I'd always done well in school and stuff. But when I got to college, that was another slap in my face of like, maybe I'm not that smart. Like book smart wise, like I'm in a classroom of like 300-400 people and they're all like, actually, like there's a lot of nerds in here who are like working a lot harder than me. I just like got by like really well with school. And so then that identity was challenged. And now so many times in my life, I'm just like, wow, maybe I am not these things. Like that kind of like came to that conclusion and I wouldn't change a thing. Like everything had to happen that way. But it's just so interesting because like now I can look back on my football days so fondly because, that made me who I am today.
Yeah.
But I don't identify now anymore with just like one label. Like, I'm a podcast host. I'm an agency owner. I'm just me. I'm just a soul, man. And we're just here for this like short amount of time. Like, it's really not that deep, but it is that deep.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the show is the duality of that. But I will say a new frame that I've been looking at this from, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I don't know if it's legit or not, is I'm actually like kind of like assigning identities now, like temporarily, like I'm kind of like becoming I'm an actor playing a role type of thing, but like gaslighting myself into believing it. So there's 3 identities right now that I'm just really, really like harnessing. And every day I sign a contract with myself in the morning.
Sick.
And I actually read these 3 identities out with some affirmations attached. I could show you later. I'd love your thoughts on this, but it's like the identity of an athlete, the identity of an artist, and the identity of an entrepreneur. And I'm not fully any of those things. I know I am not any of those things. But right now, I'm an artist. With you right now, this is the closest thing to my art. It's really more of a craft, but it's an art, right? When I leave here and I have a sales call, I'm stepping into my entrepreneur frame. When I'm leading my team, like I have to make sure that, I'm an entrepreneur. And then, when I'm training with my trainer this morning with, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, that type of stuff. I'm an athlete. There's nothing. I don't care about how good I am at sales right now when I'm getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on identities now with all the work that you've done.
Yeah. Well, so to kind of like sidestep the question, then I'm going to circle back to it. It's like, I had experience with the Bufo alvarez toad. You familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you danced with the toad?
I have not. I have not.
Okay.
I've not danced with the toad.
So that experience killed my identity, right? The sense of self, the ego. And so I'd always heard that like you shouldn't get attached to your ego. Like the ego is the enemy, right? Like very popular saying. And in that experience, when my ego actually died, I realized, oh wait, the ego is the human experience. If I don't have an ego, then I'm just a soul with God in the oneness. And so that actually gave me permission, like, because I was kind of like going down that spiritual path of like, no ego, dissolve the ego. And I had that experience. And then my ego was like, all right, you can actually choose your ego, which is kind of like what you're talking about right now, right? It's like within
your character.
Within that identity, it's like, all right, I want to kind of wire myself to be these things. So when I get in these different containers, I can be that, because we're all playing human, right? We're God playing human here.
Yeah.
So why not be God playing the athlete, God playing the artist, God playing the entrepreneur? That's how I view that, is just like, yeah, receive it, bring it in and take it on. Because I tell my fighters, you need a massive ego to be a world champion. You need to believe that nobody can beat you.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get there. And so they have to believe they're a world champion before you become the world champion. That's Mike Tyson's quote. He said, you got to be the champ before you become the champ. And for a lot of people, maybe they heard Mike Tyson and were like, yeah, whatever. That's just like Tyson saying stuff. There's like, I'm sure, I don't know if it was from him or from his mentor, Cus D'Amato, but like, that's so profound. He's talking about the law of reversibility. Be in the emotional essence of having what you want to become. So taking on that identity, building that into your ego, and that's how you create it, because you'll feel inspired to take the action of. You're like, oh, what does a champion do? What are my routines? What are my rituals? How do I approach everything I do? That is how you get there. You be it. You emotionally own it. And so I love that you're doing that. I think it's necessary, really, to be these things.
Yeah, and it's confusing sometimes because I hear so much about like kill the ego, deny the ego, but to me, from what you're saying there, that's almost just denying the human experience. Be aware of it. Don't let it get carried away. Don't like feel like I'm the best entrepreneur ever and then not back that up, right? Like in the things that I'm writing and like trying to basically brainwash myself in the morning is like, I'm actually going to step into that like Mamba mentality, that Tom Brady, that like UFC fighter, like whatever, and tap into that and use that. But I also know that like I'm like, that's not 100% of me. And I'm not going to be Kobe. I'll never be Kobe because it's not actually what I want. Yeah. But I can take things from like different people who I look up to and who I want to model certain identities and behaviors from and leverage that. But it's kind of like there's a dance there, it's like, anyways, I think it's a really interesting discussion, You
have to wire that identity to succeed as well, right? Mm-hmm. You have to notice as you go into it is like, are there any, broken pieces of code that I think have to be part of this identity, right? And maybe they're right for some people, but maybe they're not right for you. Like, like a lot of like boxers, they leave their families during fight camp, and they're like, they believe that they have to leave their families for 2-3 months to get ready for a fight. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily have to be true, right? So that could be a part of your identity as an athlete, as a fighter, as a world champion. You go, this is what I have to do. Yeah. I have a fighter right now, he's training for a world championship fight next month, and he's an ultimate family man, and he gets fuel from being that. He believes that being a family man makes him a greater fighter. So I think, and I'm not putting any judgment on what anyone else does versus him. I'm just saying that you have to go into the identity you're building and then ask yourself, like, is everything I'm believing to be true within this identity is in alignment with how I want to pursue this path?
Yeah, because you can edit it.
Yes.
You are playing your own character.
Yes.
I love that, man. Well, you work with a lot of professional athletes, high-level executives and whatnot. What's a common code that you see amongst them where they sabotage themselves?
Yeah. And there's not even that many, honestly. I feel like my days are on repeat a lot of times.
Okay.
Like the same things over and over again. A huge one is believing they need the approval of others to feel okay, to feel safe. And it's like, if you ask them this in conversation, they wouldn't be like, yeah, I need this guy on Twitter to, like, you know, say I'm good enough. No, it's not there. It's not a rational thing. But when you get down to, why are you feeling anxious? Let's go into the emotional, let's explore, let's go deep into, you get to this fear of, like, yeah, you know what? If I'm not getting approved by everyone else, then I'm not enough and I'm not safe and I'm going to lose it all. And this is a super common one that I rewrite with all my guys, rewrite that code to liberate them from that. And then literally, you update the OS system, and a lot of people can't imagine this being true, but it is. And it was kind of cool because I'm sure we'll like circle back to like more of the origin story, but like, I went through this experience in my life of building a massive audience in fitness.
Yep.
And through that experience, I had to kind of have that code come up for me of like the approval of others. Because, you know, it's like when you have that many followers, you get a lot of hate. And even if like you're doing the most positive thing in the world, it doesn't matter. If Mother Teresa today or Gandhi had an Instagram, there would be people hating in the comments.
Totally.
It's part of the nature. So I had to go through that myself and like being like, man, why does that matter to me so much when people don't agree with what I'm saying? Because there's other people who are celebrating me for it. And so I had to rewrite that for myself. I think that was so valuable as a part of my journey. We talk about like, why isn't it just a linear path, right? There's a reason why there's these twists and turns. Like, I felt like in my life, I picked up these different ways. I had to rewire myself to prepare myself to be able to help these people on the biggest stages. And so I had to go through it. I had to rewrite it. And now I help other guys with it. That's a huge one, man. There's a lot. If I don't perform my best every time, I'm going to lose it all. That's a big one, right? This can be in business. It can be in sport. If I'm not getting the results every time, I'm going to lose it all. And what does that make you do? It makes you play tight. It makes you make decisions in business out of fear. It makes you be risk averse when maybe you need to be a little more bold. And so we rewrite that into the opposite, you know? And so there really isn't that many of them, but those are a couple of the big ones, the ones around fear of judgment from others. That's a tribal thing, you know, that's deeply embedded in us at a deep primal level. And the one around like performance and worthiness and needing to always be able to hold a certain standard, or it'll all go away and everyone leave you and you'll be alone. Again, tribal.
Got you. As a subconscious engineer now, you get to do this like as a profession. You're a coach. You help so many people with this. You're also an author, but you weren't always making money from this thing that you're clearly super passionate about. Walk me through kind of the darker eras of just trying to make it work, dude.
Yeah. This is my favorite part of the story.
For sure.
It's because everyone can relate to this, right? It's like the grind, it's the dirt. We usually just see the highlight reel, but like everybody's been through some aspect of this. And so for me, graduated college, and I actually was like, should I go pursue a sports psychology degree? This is what most people who do want to go work with athletes in the field. I applied to some programs, wasn't accepted in any, and I was like, all right, do I go to Japan and teach English? Like, I wanted to explore, I wanted to expand. I just didn't know how I was going to take this life path of coaching people in the mind. And so I was fortunate enough to have a good friend from high school who was playing Division I basketball, like just an hour north from me in Los Angeles. And when I graduated, him and I like carpooled together. I grew up in New York, and then I went to middle school, high school in Eugene, Oregon. And so we took that 13-hour drive up I-5 to get up to Oregon, and we drove together. And he was just telling me all about, you know, his desires to continue playing basketball. And I told him about my desires to go down this path of coaching the mental game. And he was like, I would love for you to help me with this. Like, maybe you can support me in this. And so I started coaching him in this that summer after he graduated college. And he was like way ahead of his time. He had a YouTube channel and was like doing app reviews and stuff like that, like in 2009.
He had a lot going on. Yeah.
He was always a hustler. You know, those guys who are just like, they know.
Yeah.
They're going to make money one way or another. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
And so he started an app company. And he was just like doing this process called reskinning apps, where you just take popular games that are already in the market. And you tell a developer, hey, make the same game, but with a different skin, a different design. And he was doing that, and he was making money, and we're 22 and he's making like 30 grand a month. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know? And so when I was in college, my senior year, I received a grant actually to do some of this research around the mental performance. I actually did it on how these different visualization techniques I was using could help improve bench press performance, and also could reduce anxiety, because those are the things that were important to me at the time.
Yeah.
And so they gave me a grant. And so I had a little money. I had like maybe like $4,000 or $5,000 left over after doing my research. And so I was like, all right, I have like a little bit of wiggle room here. And I started hustling, just trying to make money any way I could. I just didn't want to like put all my time into one thing, because I knew the path I was going to go on. I'm going to get there eventually. And he was like, why don't you take these meditations you're doing with me and turn them into a mobile app? And so we did it. And we joined up in this company, and we created a mobile app. The first one was, I believe, just like a sleep app. I was really good at putting people to sleep through these hypnosis techniques.
Yeah.
And so we started with the meditation app for sleep. And then we did the same reskinning process. And we're like, all right, take the same code, put a new meditation, change the design. And we ended up creating like 69 apps altogether. So it's just like all types of meditations you could think of for anything.
That's crazy.
And so I moved down to Austin, Texas at the time. And like, this was like the bubble of like everyone's an entrepreneur in Austin. It was like everyone was doing it. And so this is 2013, and 2013 through like early 2015. And during that period, I was like, all right, well, this meditation app's kind of working. So, but also I realized I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do, because once I made the meditations, I wasn't teaching meditation anymore.
Right.
I was just doing SEO keyword research and like all this manual work
and stuff. Yeah.
talking to developers in India and Pakistan, and just like up late at night and abusing my body, just like
Out of alignment.
Yeah, really. And it's like, it started with something that was like my thing. And then it became like just working behind the scenes on my computer. And so I was like, I just want to like make a bag. I want to get some money. And the company was not doing crazy money. It was like enough to like barely like pay my bills and getting a little bit of credit card debt, but kind of keeping the lifestyle up, just thinking, all right, well, this thing's just going to grow. It's going to be exponential. And I just had that, naive optimism of an entrepreneur who starts a company at 22, 23. And so in that process, I started other app companies, and I was like, let me start another one and another one, another one. Well, 5 companies later, I'm $80,000 in credit card debt, and I can't make my next rent payment. And so I had some friends that had recently moved down to Medellin, Colombia. This was like the end of 2014. And I was like, they're telling me like, dude, like you can come down here. It's super cheap to live. Like it's a good lifestyle. You can kind of hit the reset on your life. And so I worked with a company to consolidate my credit card debt so I could just make monthly payments to get out of debt. And I gave up all the companies. I even let my meditation app company get bought out by my business partner, who really bought it for like nickels. Like
just to help with like,
so
you had a little bit of runway?
I needed a little runway, and I needed to start paying down this credit card debt. I think I had like a $1,500 a month payment to make. And so I went down to Colombia with nothing to start all over again. And I could keep going with the story. I don't know if you have any questions. I could keep running with it.
No, bro, keep running with it, because I could totally relate, on hitting that reset button and going down to Colombia. But I'd love to keep going.
All right. So I arrive in Colombia, and once I get there, I try to get back to like what I loved. I started just finding people who let me do my work, just working with them as a coach, one-to-one.
Kind of for free, or?
Just like minimal payments. I wasn't making a ton of money. And I actually met someone down there who had like a really big social media following in the wellness space. And I had never really done social media before. All this stuff was just app store optimization. That's how I got downloads to the app. But I was like, this is interesting, because I saw his whole business was being fueled through YouTube, through Instagram. And so I saw what he did. I also saw a lot of the lack of integrity in the space, because this guy was like a Christian influencer in the wellness space. And then he's doing cocaine and hanging out with 17, 18-year-old girls. And he's like 39 years old, right?
Not good.
And I was like, all right, cool. So I see how this works. I also see how I don't want to do it, right? I want to build something that actually I feel like has integrity. And just living down in Colombia was a wild experience, man. Just like trying to get my bearings and just feeling very fight or flight for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But I started, getting $1,000 a month from him, working with some clients, was making enough money to pay my bills and to pay this debt payment down. But I remember, man, like I got to this place of just like after a year of just grinding down there and just trying to figure it out. Maybe it was a little less than a year. I just remember being in my room. I had 2 roommates and just breaking down, and like the first full breakdown, like release, just crying my eyes out and just being like, man, they say chase your passion. This isn't working. My passion is not working. I feel like I'm doing the right things. Like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Because at this point, I had been, trying to make it as an entrepreneur for 3 years. And, as a 25-year-old, that feels like a lifetime.
Sure. I mean, because it kind of is. Like, if you think about it in your adult life, like that's a pretty
True.
big percentage portion of what it is.
Yeah, and I was seeing like my other friends I went to college with getting decent jobs, at least they're making 60, 70, 80 grand a year, and I'm just here in debt and I'm not making any money. And like I just cut off the outside world. I was like, I'm just gonna be here in Colombia and I'm not even gonna talk to anyone. It's not like I like deliberately didn't reach out, but I didn't like cut them out, but nobody was reaching out to me. I was just like, all right, this is my world now. I'm just gonna be here. I'm just gonna go into the darkness. And I just went in and I went in and I went in, and I just didn't give up because I knew that this is the only path forward. Like I knew like it's a gift to know what you want to do.
Can I ask you something about that? What's the conversation with yourself like there at that low point? Like, because you obviously are aware of mental coaching, and like it's got to be weird that like probably like logically what you need to do to get out of it. But how do you apply it to yourself when things are not going like how they should for you?
Yeah, and to be fair, at the time I didn't have a lot of the tools I have now. Right, we're talking 10 plus years ago. But at the time, I did know the power of positive self-talk and visualization and repeating just affirmations and things like that and letting things go and getting them out. So there's a few things I did at the time just to like persevere, just to keep my head above water. One was I would make voice memos for myself, where it was like I couldn't afford a therapist, so I was my own therapist. I would just talk about everything. I would just get everything off my chest, out of my belly, out of my soul. I'd purge, and there was a lot to be said. So it's like a lot of people, they journal, they write. Journaling is great too. It was basically like an audible journal.
Yeah.
Like
I do that. So like, that's why I'm smiling here. It's such a cathartic release too. And like, it's so easy to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can beat yourself up as much in your journal and stuff. And you're just like, sometimes it's good just to release it. It's like all the negative thoughts in your head. It's just like, get them out. So I did that. I also wrote my vision, dude. And I read it every single day. And I was like, even of course, there was parts of me at the time was like, was this manifestation stuff even real? Like, those doubts that come up, like, will this work? But I just continued. I read my like visualization of like what I want to create in all the areas in my life. I would close my eyes. I'd visualize being there and how it would feel. And I just did that every day. Those are like the 2 main things I would do to keep myself like head above water. And so about a year or so in, I got an opportunity. One of my buddies was leading like a mastermind of sorts in Barcelona, Spain. He's like, hey, dude, if you will go, I'll pay for your housing and like we'll take care of you. You just have to be the mental coach for everyone. I was like, great, done.
Win-win. That's what you want to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I went there, I did that. But while I was there, I just had this itch to explore something new. I knew that I'd started 5 or 6 companies and they all failed because, maybe one of them or any of them could have been successful if I was consistent, but I gave up on them all, right? It was just like, for whatever reason, I wasn't getting the traction I wanted. And then I eventually was just like, the meditation app company really came down to the fact that like I needed that runway. So I had to give it up. And so I knew the next thing I had to choose one thing. Because I even like during this time as well, I hired a Tony Robbins coach, and I love Tony Robbins. I went to his event. He was actually a big inspiration for me, like seeing him on the stage and be like, I want to be that guy. But I wasn't working with Tony Robbins. I got a coach that was like, probably pretty far down the totem. And he was telling me, well, at the time when I was doing all these businesses, getting into debt, he was telling me, yeah, Tony runs like 50 businesses. Like you can do it. Like he just didn't know. And so I don't hold any malice towards him, but I was just believing that I could do that.
Yeah.
And so my big aha moment was like learning from seeing some other people's success and being like, one thing, dude, pick one thing. die before you give up on that one thing. And so I reached out to my buddy because when I was living in Austin, I made a friend in my apartment complex, and him and I were running these workouts for our friends. We called them Two Dudes on a Roof. And he would lead the exercise portion, and I would lead like a yoga, meditation, cool down. And people loved it. And I remember when my buddies, Zach Oberon, shout out, he's actually the guy who helped me. His company, he's not there anymore, helped me like do the guided process to write my book. But he was like, dude, you guys got something. And he was like, he's a pretty savvy business guy. I was like, that always just, sometimes you just need one person to say, there's something here.
And they got the belief in you.
Yeah, he just was like, there's something here. And I believed him. And so I hit up my buddy that I used to do the workouts with. And I had coached him actually when I was living in Austin a little bit, because I was working a little bit with clients, like not much, maybe like 2 or 3 clients, making a few bucks here and there. And I was like, dude, I think we should do this Two Dudes on a Roof thing and find a way to like bring this into the world. So he had already quit his job. He was a corporate software salesman, and he moved down and met me in Colombia after this trip to Spain where I did this thing. And so he came back, he met me back there, and we started a YouTube channel, and it was called Zen Dude Fitness. And this YouTube channel was basically the Two Dudes on a Roof on YouTube, where it was like, let's do a workout, let's have a mindfulness portion of it, some meditation, let's be motivational. And we're doing this. Dude, we did it for probably about 9 months and no traction, nothing. And he had a good savings built up because he was doing corporate software sales. He was a couple years older than me. So he had some money, but basically what we were doing was the money we were making, like I was taking it and I was building debt with him because he had some money and I didn't. And so I was building my debt with him again and my other debt payment at the same time, just so I could try to make this thing work. But there was the seed planted. It was like, one thing, dude, just do one thing. If you just don't give up on this, if you die before you give up on this, like something's going to happen. And so I literally got to the end of the stick, and the universe always provides like these synchronistic moments I see. And whenever you show up and you commit, it comes through for you, man. And so I met my now wife, who I've been with for going on 10 years this spring, that spring. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is kind of like a woman I want to pursue something with. But I couldn't even afford to live in Colombia anymore, man. It was that dark because, think about it, I'm having to make these debt payments. I'm taking money from the company that I'm making some money on YouTube. But we were like a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube. It was very small. But so what happened was we had this Facebook group, and this tech entrepreneur happened to find his way in there. And he was like, hey, I like what you guys are doing. If you guys come to Hawaii and you train me, then I'll let you stay here for free. You can use my car. Done.
The power of YouTube and the power of just putting out content. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And so first of all, it's like, definitely we had some hesitation. I think I'm more of just like just send it type of guy. My business partner was like, this guy gonna like want us to like suck him off, or like, what's going on here, bro? Like, there's gonna be some weird shit. He's a stranger who says I'll pay for you. Is he gonna be our daddy? Right? Is this daddy? No, man. We get there and he's an absolute legend, man. Like he's a family man. He has kids. He's working on new companies, and he literally has an office with 2 bedrooms upstairs, and he lets us stay there. He gives us his Tesla, and this is 2016 at the time. So we just thought we were the coolest guys in the world. We got connected with Uncle Bob, this guy on the island who grew his own weed. And dude, that's how I grinded out. Honestly, a lot of that season was like self-suppression. It was like I turned into a huge pothead. And, fortunately, my business partner, he had some money, so he was paying for it because I couldn't afford it. And that was kind of a way that I kind of suppressed all the emotion I was going through to just keep going. I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that, whether it's weed or alcohol.
For me, it was alcohol.
Yeah,
for sure.
Find a way to kind of suppress and just push forward. You kind of let the steam out. So that was us, bro. But that summer, everything changed because one of my other friends who I'd met in Austin had this SEO company where he was like helping people build their blogs. And he sent his course to me for free. And so I looked at it and I realized, I was like, oh, this is the same as YouTube. If you can answer questions that people are asking on YouTube organically, then you can win that traffic.
Okay.
Right there. The next video we make is like how to jump rope for beginners, because what we were doing, we type into the search bar, how to jump rope and then it would finish the term for you.
Yeah, right.
It tells you what to make.
Right.
And nobody was crazy enough at the time to put 1,000 videos on YouTube. So nobody had that like real authority in that niche.
Mm-hmm.
And so that video got like a few thousand views. We're like, whoa, type it in again. How to jump rope for boxers. Make that video. Oh, shoot. A few more thousand views. Mm-hmm. We keep doing this. And, you know, there's some like definitely some dark times. Like one thing is like my wife now, she came and visited me that summer in Colombia, and she didn't know how poor I was, man. She wasn't getting that like gringo jackpot.
Right.
She was like, she's Colombian. She flew herself out to Hawaii from Colombia.
Pay for her ticket there.
No, I couldn't pay for her ticket, man.
No.
She flew herself out there. She was just like, listen, I want to see if like this thing's gonna have a shot. She came visiting me, and there was like this one moment I talk about in the book where it was like the ultimate ego death for a guy is like during this period of time, I think anyone who's like been in this grind, they know this feeling. It was like my account was constantly like a couple $100. Oh, I hit negative withdrawal. Like that was like 4 years of my life was always like negative email, you know, get those emails from the bank saying the overdraft fees. I was getting that, and I knew that I had like $6 in my bank account, and I didn't give myself permission to use credit cards. I already lost that privilege. That's why I was doing the credit card consolidation. So I only had my debit card, and she wanted to get like a hot chocolate and a bagel, and bro, I couldn't afford it. I literally could not afford both, and I didn't know how to like really say that, and so it ended up being like a fight between us. I was like, you know, what do you think, I'm made of money? You think I can pay for a bagel and hot chocolate?
Like $9.
Oh man, exactly, dude. So it was like one of those awkward moments where it all came out. And I remember, you know, I didn't have a car there, so I was like driving the guy's car that we were staying with, and I was like driving with her. I was like, all right, listen, here's the deal. I don't have any money. I'm in a bunch of debt. Is this something you want to sign up for? And she didn't care. She was like, yeah, it's fine. Why didn't you just tell me? You know, I was like, oh,
man, that's how you knew.
Yeah. The way
Was that like a moment where even you knew, like, hey, that's fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
because, you know, I feel like, sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah, of course.
I feel like, you know, Colombian girls or like, you know, Latin American girls often get like this reputation of like, they're just using you for your money or your passport. And like, I'm not saying that there's not like a percentage of that happens and
Yeah, sure.
vice versa. But, there's a lot of great people too, man. And like, sounds to me like you found one. Shout out to your wife.
Yeah. No, she's the best, man. She's the best. And so, yeah, she gave me a lot of grace. And so that summer, like she flew back, and then I finished the rest of the summer there. And then I was like, all right, let's go back to Colombia now. And when we were coming out of this, like all that work on the jump rope kind of worked. All the work of hitting those keywords worked, and we were starting to get traction. By that fall, we had 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Nice. I think it was actually like maybe a little late fall, closer to like December. We were there. We got 50,000. We're like, we're fucking famous. Nice. You know, we were able to fill up our coaching programs. And like for the first time in my life, I was paying down debt payment. I could pay for my own rent in Colombia. Granted, I was like still like getting some money from my wife as well, because we ended up moving in together. We went back to, first, you know, I was living with my Colombian suegra, my mother-in-law. Okay. That's the first thing I did. And I was living with her for like 3 months. And then...
No way.
Yeah, man.
For real?
For real. It was like...
It got bad, bro.
Grind. It was grind. Jeez. And so after a few months, we were able to get our place together, and she offset the cost a little bit, but like money was starting to roll in.
Wow.
And then that next year, we decided, you know, we got to take it to the big time. We have to take it to... like a place where we're going to really be able to blow up. Mm-hmm. And so we moved to, that next summer, we moved to Los Angeles, and we're like, this is a place where our stuff's going to blow up. And to be honest, like our social media, like didn't get affected by it at all. Like we started getting traction just through the organic stuff, like what we were already doing. And like, we weren't collaborating with people. Like we did collapse, it didn't really help. And so we got there, and it was a little bit of like a rude awakening of like, oh, like you're not going to come here and everything's going to change.
Yeah,
like,
LA doesn't care about you.
Yeah, essentially. And so we went there, and yeah, within probably 6 months, I was able to pay down my credit card completely. Made the last payments. Again, another one of those moments. I went and leased a Jeep. I sat in my car, just cried, cathartic release, just like, oh man. after 5 years of like carrying this weight, there's some money in the account. I'm 27 years old now, and it feels like things are starting to like pick up. And really from there, the path was, let's continue to grow this. We ended up growing it over the next few years, over 1 million subscribers, over 100 million views on our YouTube videos.
Wow.
We ended up discarding my stuff that I liked, and it used to be Zen Do Fitness, and we just made it Jump Rope Dudes, and it was just about the jump rope stuff. But you know what? I found fulfillment in that process. We built a community. I learned how to talk on camera. I learned how to lead. I learned how to be a very functional marijuana addict. And yeah, man, I could keep going with the arc of the story. It's up to you if you want me to.
No, bro, I'm loving it. I'm
Yeah?
loving it. And we were talking about this before, but I feel like you didn't get the opportunity to
Yeah.
really share this
Thank you.
story on like much bigger platform. So while I got here, I mean, bro, I just feel like we're homies. I get to hear your incredible story.
Thank you,
Please
man.
keep.
No, that means a lot to me. Just to be seen and heard. So we get, so essentially we get to that place of traction, you're talking about, where it's like I'm in the grocery store and like people are recognizing me and coming up to me and saying, "Oh man, so cool. I watch your videos. Thank you so much for what you do." And like I got to that like place of like, internet famous to a degree, and I made the money. And then when COVID hit, bro, that was like the hockey stick effect for our business. We were living in Los Angeles, and I lived with my wife at the time, and we had just had our first child. And I think there's something to that baby money. I don't know if you ever heard of that. When you have your first kid, or you're about to, like, money just appears out of nowhere. For us, it was COVID, because everyone was at home. They couldn't go to the gym. So they started looking online for fitness workouts.
Oh, yeah, my whole business was born in COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge opportunity. And so our thing, like literally the business went 3x. Like we blew up our business. We blew up the business of the people we partnered with. We were selling their jump ropes. We were an affiliate for them. They exploded. Like it was like we could do no wrong. It's like everything you touch turns to gold. And of course, like in that moment, you're like, what did you do that was different? I was like, everything that I did the last, 8 years. That's what I did, the overnight success.
Right. People don't see all that. And that's why I love that you're telling this, because
Yes.
that's the stuff that, like, think of how many people are sitting in that right now. And in many ways, I am. And like, I'll share that with you after. But like, everyone wants to just see the at the end, at the finish line, like, oh, look, he's made it, he's done this, that, whatever. It's like, no, man, I want to hear about like the gritty, like the grind.
Yeah, just the tears, the self-deprecation, this will never work. Yeah, man, that's where it's all born, because it's like you only put yourself right place, right time when you've had to endure all the other hardships, right? It was like, about a month ago, I was on Rogan, and if that happened even a year ago, it wouldn't have been time, man. It wouldn't have been the right time to be on there, because now, like, I have all the experience. I could go through my Rolodex of these clients I've worked with that give me the authority to where I can say, like, listen, man, like, I'm living it. Like, I am it. What you're looking for, like, I'm it. And it's only because of everything that has led up to this moment. It was the same thing during COVID. It was like, man, we had put out like 1,000 YouTube videos by then, man. It was crazy the amount of work we put in. It was 3 to 5 videos a week sometimes. Like we did the vlogging thing. You remember when vlogging was a thing?
Yeah.
Like we did that, where we posted 2 videos every day for a month, and you're up for who knows what reason until 3 a.m. editing the vlog to get it ready for the next day. It wasn't even like that's what made us blow up, but it's just like the things that you try, even if it doesn't work, it's just because one of those things is going to work out.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay. Vlogging. All right. Zen Do Fitness. Okay.
And it's not like you have a blueprint to follow. You're just making it up as you go. That's what I find is so much of this journey.
Pick up the breadcrumbs, right? It was like the breadcrumb, the buddy who was like, hey, that workout you did was special. I'm going to pick that up, right? It was the other buddy that went, hey, do you want my SEO course? I think it might help you guys with YouTube. Pick that up. It's like these little breadcrumbs that kind of like get you through those passageways.
I'm such a believer in the power of the butterfly effect there, and like just how everything is interconnected. Like this is such divine timing from God when I hear your story, because you didn't give up when it was probably so easy to just tail between your legs, go back to the US, get a job, and just give up on the dream, which is what so many people do. And like such a core message of my show, that like why I'm loving the story so much, is just like I can relate to that on so many levels here. But like, when I was working a 9-to-5 job, I did do that in back in Canada. I was working for the federal government of Canada for like 6 years, and I hated it. I was so miserable. I could not stand this job. And I would hang out with my friends, and so many people would be like, yo, Deep, like whenever we hang out, like I don't know, we just have such like deep conversations and whatever. Like you should have like a YouTube channel or like a show or something. And I'm like, the fuck out of here, bro. What are you talking about? Like you're being weird. But then another group of friends would say it that don't even know the other group of friends. And I'm like, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
I used to always just like write things off as coincidence. Now I never do.
Yeah, it's all
like,
synchronicity.
That's a synchronicity, you know?
That's what the spiritual bros say. Synchronicity. What about it, bro?
Yeah, what about it,
You
dog?
think I'm a pussy? It's a fucking
Yes,
synchronicity.
it's sync, bro. We're synced up. And anyways, long story short, like all that, I listened. And that's like when, again, the universe and through people, through experiences, through whispers, through supreme self-belief, you shoot the shot. Like you just keep doing the thing. So I love that part of your story, man, but please keep going.
Yeah. And something that came up when you were sharing that is like sharing with people, like, what do you do during that period of time, the grind? Like, how do you get your way through it? Like I talked about, the voice memos, or like the journaling, the visualization, holding that vision of where you want to go, feeling the emotions, just giving yourself the gratification of like, I don't care what how shitty my apartment is right now, or how little money I have. Like I'm gonna spend some time and the energy of where I want to go. And then it's also like doing whatever else is required. Like, dude, I took my own medicine. Like I would like work out like crazy, man. That was my stress relief. I'd jump rope, and sometimes I like jump rope to a point of like tears. And it's like, because there's so much anxiety in your body when you're in that fight or flight state. So I would just jump rope and just, by the end of it, fatigue myself so much that I just didn't have anything left, and I could rest and relax because I released it. I think exercise is so big in this journey, just to release the tension that's building in your body.
Totally.
Yeah.
When so now Jump Rope Dudes blows up. What's next? What happens there?
So it blows up, and then, man, I'm going through around that time, a little bit before it actually, I'm going through a little bit of like another spiritual awakening. I would say shortly before that, if I were to rewind, I was just seeking. I grew up in like an extremely liberal town. It's a great place, but it's very godless. And I'm not casting judgment on it. It was what it was, man. If like you talked about God, you'd be made fun of by your friends. Like it was like when I was in high school, like George Bush is the president, and it was like, he's the devil. And it's like, that's just what it was. And so I grew up in that. And so I was beginning to go through this awakening, and like, because I felt like there's so many synchronicities in my life. Like I felt like something greater than myself. I started calling it universe. The universe is guiding me. I'm surrendering to the universe, but I was seeking something deeper. And so I had heard, Mike Tyson launched his podcast, and it was called Hotbox with Mike Tyson. Great show. The dude was, I think for me, it's the best podcast I've ever heard. My favorite one, after he smokes the toad. He did on the first episode, he brought in a shaman and he smokes a toad and he has a full ego death. And the best thing he said, he's like, oh man, this white boy killed me. He killed me. Because that's what it feels like. You're going through an ego death.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, I need that. My ego's too strong, and not like the ego as in like my sense of self, but the ego that like is so insecure and fearful and still worries too much. Like I wanted that to die so I could be reborn in something new. So, what you're seeking you. I went to some kind of hippie event in Venice Beach. My friend invited me to. I'm sitting at the table. I'm like, one of these guys has a hookup. I'm like, anyone here ever heard of like the Bufo toad, 5-MeO DMT? Could you introduce me to it? One guy's like, yeah, here you go. Riverside, California. Here's the name of the shaman. Boom, right there. Okay. Literally like the next week or two, I was there, and I was going into ceremony, and, I had my experiences with some psychedelics, mushrooms, LSD, things like that. Obviously, I was a pretty big stoner at the time, very functional stoner, which I took a lot of pride in. I was like, yeah, look at me, because like a lot of people think like stoners can't do things. So I kind of took pride in the fact that like I could smoke weed and run this successful business. Anyhow, that's aside. So I go there. I've never had a real deep psychedelic experience. It's been more recreational, go into the woods, go into nature, have that type of experience. So I go in there, and we're sitting around in the circle, and first we do combo. If you're familiar with combo, they put you this frog poison, and it helps you purge. So I did that. It's supposed to cleanse your system before you go into Bufo. So then that's like a big circle of maybe 25, 30 people. Then the circle shrinks. Everyone leaves who did that. And we go into another room and there's maybe like 6 or 7 of us who are going to do the Bufo experience. And so I get into this circle and, you know, it's full on, like someone has a didgeridoo, like it's what you think.
Yeah.
And so we're in there and the first person goes and it's basically you smoke it out of a pipe. And then I saw them smoke it, lay down. And yeah, it just seemed like they just had a nice experience. They're just calm. And then I was like, all right, that looks all right. Seems good. And eventually, they, you know, 15, 20 minutes later, they come out of it and they're sharing their experience. Everyone's kind of holding space for them, you know. And that's like hippie terms from like you're giving them good energy, you know, and like making them feel supported and safe because your ego just died. You're coming back and you're like, what? Yeah, that's right, dude. You're having a human experience again.
Yeah, because you just experience like the craziest, like
You're gone.
don't they like I mean, I've never done it, but like I've heard it explained in
Yeah,
so
well,
many times.
so I see a couple more people have a similar experience to that. And then I'm like, all right, it's my turn.
Yeah.
So I smoke it, I lean back, and my body, I just disappear from my sense of self. And this was the first time in my life I really understood the ego because I no longer was Brandon from these parents. I was born in Queens, New York, and likes these sports teams. I was just at one with God, completely blown out of my identity. I just felt like my soul is at one with God. And that was my first true visceral experience of God that made it like very undeniable for me. Is like, whoa. And then when I started to come back in my body, my ego was fighting so hard against it. Literally, my body started convulsing, like shaking. And they had a pit bull dog there. That's a little sweetheart that kind of helps with the experience. The pit bull came and sat on my hips to hold him down because my body was like trying to like fight. It could not comprehend. And I just knew that I had to go back in. I had unfinished business. So I sat back up and I kind of nodded to her. I was like, yes. Like, I was like, because I saw the other people, they got to this place of like peace and resolution.
Yeah, it sounds like they were like chilling. Like,
yeah. And for my ego is so strong that like it was fighting back that experience.
Double the dose.
So I double dosed, bro. Went back in again and just completely got blown away again and had this feeling of complete union with God and just completely destroyed my old perception of reality and connected me forever to this field with God. And so when I came out of that, there definitely was some trauma in that experience. It was just like, you know, my ego fighting for like, what just happened? Like, who am I now? And so they gave me an apple and they said, go sit outside in the grass, eat your apple, be in nature for a minute. And I was like, nature, it's all nature. And I was like seeing like the metal panels on the house. And I was like, everything is one, you know. I was like, I understood that it's all one. I was like, this apple is no more organic than, you know, a piece of plastic or anything else. It's all organic material because it's all from the same source. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm driving home and I'm just like trying to make sense of this experience. I know that life is never going to be the same again after this, but there's definitely significant trauma around it. It was like a gift and a curse. And so for the next like week or two, I'd wake up and I'd have like almost like a recreation of the experience. Like when I go to sleep, I go back through the veil again and I'd have these incredibly vivid dreams. And
were they positive, negative? Like, how did you feel? Or was it just like a lot? It's probably hard.
it was
to put
just
into
a
words.
lot. It was a lot. And it was also very scary. Like I'd have like visions of like feeling like I was levitating on my bed and then I'd wake up and it was almost felt like my body was dropping down and I was coming back into it. One of my really best friends that I went to high school with and I played football with him and then we went and played football in college together as well. He followed me or we went together down to play with one another. He had passed away in a really traumatic car accident just like maybe a month or two before that.
No.
So like he was in these visions and like I had these visions around like what I wanted to do for his family to help them heal and for us all to kind of like make peace with this experience. It was all kinds of visions. Some were like, yeah, it was all just a lot. It was a lot. And so I felt this trauma with the experience, but I also felt this ability now to understand, you know, see myself the tree from the forest. I realized that how I was feeling every moment was just a bubbling up of these beliefs I was holding. And so I felt that things were so malleable. So after not working with my sensei for years, Sensei Clay, I hit him up and I was like, man, I told him about the experience I had. I was like, I need your help though. It's so intense. Like I'm like barely holding on in this physical experience right now. And so we're on FaceTime. He looks at me and he kind of smiles and he kind of wiggles his head a little bit. And he goes, what do you, how intense is it? I'm like, it's a 10 out of 10, dude. 10 out of 10 experience right now. Like, it's so intense, like not in a good way. And he's kind of wiggling his head. He's smiling. He goes, what is it now? And I start laughing uncontrollably. And I'm like, it's 0. It's just you did his energy medicine magic on me, released the trauma from the experience immediately. And I was like laughing uncontrollably because of the relief that I had.
Well, so he just like in that moment, in that call, he just completely reframed and shifted and changed your view of the entire experience.
Yeah, he just took the trauma. And this sets up everything I do now. In our energy field, we're holding on to these emotional traumas from the past, and they become our subconscious programming in the present. We carry it until we release it. So I was taking that subconscious trauma from that event and I was carrying it with me. It was right here in front of me. So he just cleared it for me. He just removed the trauma.
Wow. It's like a windshield wiper for your trauma.
Exactly. He just removed it. And then I was like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Whoa.
What you just did for me was the greatest gift I could ever ask for. Like, this was so incredible. And I'm so grateful that I want to give this gift to other people. And so that was a jumping off point for him and I start to work together. And they took me down this training around how you can clear out everything. He calls it the inner planet cleanup, where he said, not just this trauma, dude. Look, your subconscious is full of, since the day you're born, maybe your womb, maybe past lives, who knows? But you're carrying all this with you that's creating limitations, anxiety, suffering, the need to control, the worry, the self-doubt. And so he showed me this process of cleaning out my inner planet. And he's like, it's a metaphor of like nature, right? And you're in nature, nature's perfect. Even when there's a volcano, eventually it turns into a bigger mountain. He's like, the same thing. In our true nature, if we can remove all the trash, you're going to be in perfect harmony with the universe. And so he's like, in nature, we have to, clean up the rivers, get the sewage out of the rivers, clean up the dirty diapers in the forest, like clean it up. In our inner world, we have to clean up these subconscious pieces of code in the form of beliefs. So he showed me how to do that. We worked together for a couple months. I went on, I did this work for 6 months. And that was the perfect timing, because that's when, around the time that like COVID was hitting, the business was doing better. So dude, I only had to work like 4 hours a week to keep the business going. And so I just worked on myself relentlessly this 6 months. And I don't understand, most people don't have that level of bandwidth to go in like this, but I did at the time. And people, of course, like my clients now, like they do it in the sessions and we space it over time, but I just went all in the same way that when I was like 19, I started meditating for hours a day. I started doing this for cleaning up my inner world.
You found your way kind of back to that similar transformational, like catalyst headspace.
Yes.
And now something else had to change, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I started to feel, okay, I'm going out to dinner with my wife. She says her stomach hurts. Why am I annoyed by this? Oh, as I feel into it, what I notice is, what am I believing to be true? I'm believing that I need to make sure she feels good. Oh, so I'm responsible for how she feels. And so because I hold that belief, I'm responsible for how she feels, her suffering equals my suffering. And I was just I was seeing into the matrix. I would just have all these experiences of my suffering and seeing how it was making myself feel that way. And one by one, over 6 months, I did like the core cleanup of this process. And then immediately I started bringing it to my clients. And this is around the time that, COVID was hitting. And so it was a good time to be awake during that period of time. And of course, like I had already basically reprogrammed my mind so I could see things clearly now. And I was like, oh, I see what's going on here in LA. This is not truth. This is fear. This is fear. This is fear. And within a couple months of the pandemic, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to live in the land of the fear. And so that's when I made the move out here to South Florida at that time. And and started going deeper and deeper into this work. And if I were going to kind of skip ahead a little bit, when I was in Los Angeles, I started working with boxers doing this work, and I was seeing a lot of positive results. And so I just knew that like I needed to start to do less of the fitness business, more of this. And it was a gradual process. I'd say over the course of maybe 3 years of like moving 1% at a time. All right, 1% goes, what I really want to do. and I'm taking 1% away from the thing that, you know, I like, but it's not my thing, right? We talked about like the zone of excellence versus the zone of genius. Like I grew a massive fitness audience. I helped a lot of people. It was my zone of excellence, but it wasn't my zone of genius. It wasn't a thing that I loved and I'm the best at. Like a lot of people could teach jump rope fitness. I didn't believe that a lot of people could do what I was doing with this energy work around removing people's beliefs. And of course, it was all built on the foundation of I learned about the energy system for years beforehand. So when he taught me how to do this process of myself, it was building on all these years of work I put in to be able to do it for others. So I started working with boxers, and eventually it was like I just wanted separation, and COVID was a perfect catalyst. After like I literally bought an apartment, moved in March 2020. So I tried to hold out as long as I could.
Yeah.
By June 2021, I moved out here to Miami and slowly started the process of disconnecting myself from the old business. And eventually, me and my business partner were able to leave each other on amicable terms. He bought out my equity in the company, so I was able to get a little nest egg, and I started just working with athletes. And this is like another, just like a sign of like when you go all in the one thing, I was like, nope, I'm not going to go both. I'm not going to go mental coaching.
Because you can't though, right? Like you can't if you try to do both. It's like what's the adage? Like you try to catch two, whatever.
Yeah, you catch
don't-
nothing.
You catch nothing, and
Yeah.
like so. I think we've all, as young entrepreneurs living in this day and age, there's so much shiny object syndrome. There's so many things, and you had a successful business, but you clearly felt like you were out of alignment of your truest, highest calling
Yes.
of what you wanted to do with your time,
Yeah.
you know, here on earth. And so then from there, you just go all in on the coaching. Like, how did that work? Like, how do you then go from that decision to, well, like making it a reality?
Yeah. And so I've slowly been bringing on more and more clients.
It's like, oh, sorry, referrals. Like you do good work for one person, they just tell their homie.
Referrals, and sometimes it just takes one connection, man. One of my friends, shout out Sam Heisel, he used to work at VaynerMedia, and during that time he became close with AJ Vaynerchuk, and he's the co-founder with Gary Vaynerchuk of VaynerMedia, VaynerX. And so he had moved on to this point to start a sports agency, Vayner Sports.
Mhm.
And so he made that connection for me, and I started coaching AJ and just coaching him in his life and helping him grow Vayner Sports, a sports agency. And that was like a connection that I also knew. It was like sometimes you only need one good connection. And so I just invested in him, poured myself into him, built that relationship. I didn't ask for any referrals or anything. Like he gave me some at times, but never was like, hey, can you get me in with your brother, or can you get me into your sports agency with the athletes? It all happened organically. I just kept showing up. And after, it took probably 2 years of me working with him before he started to bring me into his world. And I started working with the sports agency, which started to introduce me to professional athletes, started working with NFL guys, UFC guys, MLB guys. And then my authority was going up, of course, in that process. And then I have good experience with them, and it started to expand out. And it's like, oh, well, I helped AJ. Well, other CEOs want to work with me as well. It started to expand out through that. And then a couple of years ago, Gary Vaynerchuk wanted to bring this stuff into his business. So he hired me personally, which is like a full circle moment, because, you know, I think a lot of people who do social media, especially around like 2015, that time, it's like he was the man back then. So I used to watch his videos, his Gary, you know, the daily V's. I get inspired. And now he hired me. He was hiring me to coach his people. And so he brought me in, and he started bringing me into coaches, executives, and I got brought on more with Vayner Sports, and I was just getting my world expanded just through, you know, that one connection that continued to grow and grow and expand and expand. And now even present day, like, I'm not working with Gary. I have a great relationship with him. He's an incredible guy. He's like who you think he is and so much more. He's just a mensch. I feel like if anything, like he's too nice in a way, just seeing into working with his executives. He's just so generous. And so a great relationship with AJ. I still coach him to this day, but don't work with the sports agency anymore, because now I've just continued to expand, and now I'm a free agent because now I'm working with all kinds of people from all over the place, you know, like all different sports, business. And so it's just continued to expand and expand for me. You know, during that time, I wrote my book, shot my shot there. And And so, yeah, that kind of brings us up into present day where that's what I do now. I sold the old business. I've been all in here the last few years.
I'm really excited that I get to chat with you about this, because for me, when I listened to the book, and I also have a copy of it, but I listened to it and I read some parts. But like for me, listening was great because you narrated it yourself and you tell your story in such depth. But really, like something that, and by the way, I recommend anyone listening to this, like, please go read bro's book. Like, it's called The Success Code.
Yeah.
But it had a different name before, so it's like rebranded.
I rebranded it. So if you want to find it on Audible, you probably find it through Program to Fail.
Yeah, and I love that rebrand as well, and we were talking about that a little bit before. But to me, the whole book, your whole journey and whatever, like, it fires me up so much because it's so relatable, like, to everybody. And that's why I think you have so much success, like working with such high performers and whatnot, because there's one thing that is like common with all of us. We like all want to realize our potential in this life. And that's what this show has always been about for me from the beginning. Like, I selfishly want to speak to people who have and are doing that and find ways to apply that to my life, right? Like, we were talking about this like last month or something like that. Like, I want to train for my first amateur kickboxing fight. And you were telling me, like, you literally sent me a YouTube video of like when you went and did your first amateur fight, and I watched it, and it was awesome. I feel like you're somebody, bro, who, like, when you really truly put your mind to something, like, you just do it. But I met a lot of people who are doers. I would consider myself like really a doer. But like, I feel like what you embody is you do with ease. Like, obviously it's not easy, like everything that you're doing and everything that you've been through. Like, you told me about the tears, the horrible moments, the lows, whatever. But it's this like supreme self-belief. If someone's listening to this right now and they're going through like a dark time, like, how do you keep that supreme self-belief that it will all work out, like, front and center?
Yeah. I think the first thing you have to let go of is the I need to be saved complex. So you're going to love this, bro. I know you had Greg O'Gallagher on your show, right? I've never actually connected with him like face to face, but when we were starting our YouTube channel in like 2015, he already had his, and I remember like messaging him on like Instagram or something like that, and I was just like, dude, how did you make this work? This is like this 6 or 7 months of it not working for us when we have no traction. I was like, dude, how does this work? And I don't remember if he responded to me or not, but it's like I had done that earlier in my entrepreneur career. I went to there's a guy, he's got a pretty well-known podcast. I mean, it's not really putting him on blast, but I won't name him, but he's like a big sport psychologist in the space. And I was like reaching out to him. I was like, man, will you mentor me? Will you mentor me? Will you save me? Will you mentor me? And like, I want to do what you're doing. I want to work with the athletes. I want this, man. And he was just like, man, I don't have time. Can't do that. And there have been a lot of times where like I wanted to be saved. And I think a lot of people are looking for that. Like, if I could just make the right connection. The thing is, like, those people only meet you in the frequency that they're in. So like, Gary Vee wasn't going to save me when I had nothing going on, not because he doesn't care about me. It's just like I wasn't tuning into the same radio station as him. I wasn't in the frequency. He met me there when I got into that frequency. It's like real recognize real, it's like you got to get into that frequency. So the first thing I'd say is like, you have to die in that part of yourself that feels like you need to be saved. And it doesn't mean don't ask for help. Like, for sure. Like I've talked about a lot of people on here that like gave me encouragement or gave me tools or information. It's different, but don't look for someone to save you. Someone's not going to be like, here's how you do everything. And there's also those energetic exchanges that happen, right? It's like in the work that I do, I don't do it for free, right?
Sure.
There's some fighters that I work with or people who I invest in, and they're paying less because that's where they're at. But those are personal relationships, and usually there's this energetic exchange that's happening. And so,
and you're also taking a long-term bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So understand that like there's reasons why people to get to where they are, and like don't even want someone to save you. And I think you build self-belief from just taking that full ownership over like, I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to see what resources are available, but I'm going to be the one to do it. I'm going to save myself
Mm.
I'm going to save myself. I'm not looking for a savior.
Taking ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. How do you transmute beliefs?
So there's a process that if I were to just explain it verbally, you might be like, okay, how does that work? I could literally do it with you in real time. The people who are watching, I don't know how interesting they think it would be, but you would experience it. So it's up to you if you want to transmute a belief.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. And this obviously requires a fair amount of vulnerability on your behalf, right? So it's got to be something that matters.
Yeah.
What is one, and go ahead and close your eyes. Let's drop in here. Let's drop in. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, let your shoulders drop and relax away from your ears. Just allow yourself to arrive. In this moment, you don't need to control anything. You don't need to think about anything. You don't need to do anything. Just give yourself the grace of just being, knowing that's more than enough in this moment. And I want you to feel into your present moment experience and just notice what comes up as you feel into the most important outcome in your life right now, whether it's like a financial goal you want to hit, a career goal, a relationship you want to have, the amateur fight, a health goal. What is the one that you just really want, like you really deeply desire, but you also feel like there's some tension or resistance in your body? And like, if you could just get over that, then that would come to you so much easier. What would that be for you right now?
For me, it's getting back to 100K a month with my business.
100K.
I've touched it before, and just the finances always, and I tell myself this story that like, if I just figured this one thing out, a lot of the things would get solved.
All right. Now I want you to feel into 100K. Why aren't you at 100K yet? Why aren't you at 100K? Why aren't you there? What, are you not smart enough? What's the deal? You're not working hard enough? What's the deal? I want you to feel into it. Feel into it. I want you to feel into the anxiety that comes up when you think about 100K. Can you feel that? 100K. Can you feel it right in the solar plexus area? Where do you feel it?
Kind of like here.
Right there. That's it. Right there. Feel into it. Now this takes courage. I need you to go into the feeling. Oh, almost like, God, this feels terrible. I want you to go into the feeling of like, oh, right in the middle of that uncomfortable feeling of like, why doesn't he hear you? Oh, can you feel that? Can you go in there?
Mm-hmm.
Stay in the feeling right in the middle of it. Like you're literally being burned alive right now. It's that intense. Sit in there right there. Don't go to your head. Stay in the feeling. I want you to ask yourself, what do you believe to be true right now that makes you feel so anxious about getting to that 100K? Stay in the feeling.
Like not enough.
Okay, repeat after me. So, I'm not enough until I hit 100K a month.
I'm not enough until I hit 100K a month.
It's true. You're not. Your peers will see that you're not on their level. You're not going to have the authority. Other people won't want to work with you. It's true. I need you to actually just accept that. Bro, you're not enough. You're fucking less than. You're just like below. You're a tier below. Can you feel that? You're a tier below until you get to that 100K a month. And I don't want you to resist it, because what you resist persists, right? Rationally, we know this is a silly story, but I want you to just accept your way through that fully right now. I'm not enough until I hit 100K a month.
I'm not enough until I hit 100K a month.
Can you accept that?
Yeah.
You're not. And I want you to visualize a timeline for your life stretched in front of you here. To the right in the timeline represents the future. Infinite possibilities lie ahead for you. We're not there yet, though. To the left in the timeline represents the past. And the past is like, oh, I got there. Well, why can't I get back? And the cycle of like the fear of like, could I just get there? How can I sustain it? Why can't I do it? The cycle of thought and beating yourself up, and the rumination and the overthinking and the anxiety. And I want you to see all this energy lives right in front of you right now. And it's just a weight of, I'm not enough until I hit 100K a month, until I'm able to sustain 100K a month, right? I want you to say it one more time. I'm just not enough until I can hit and sustain 100K a month.
I'm not enough until I can hit and sustain 100K a month.
Here we go. I want you to feel this energy right in front of you. And I want you to breathe in deeply through your nose. Exhale, and a powerful wind driven by God is going to move from right to left. It's going to pick up this belief, this fear. If you're not being, you're not enough, this story, this narrative, I'm not enough until I hit 100K a month. Feel God just pick it up and blow it. The wind is blowing this cloud to left, all the way into the past. As you release that into the past, you look back, you're like, yeah, I used to believe that was true. But in the present moment, you come back here. There's a void. There's an empty space here. Life is always happening right now. I want you just to be here now, 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 now. It used to be true. It's not true anymore. Be here. There's an empty space in your timeline right in front of you. What's the opposite of needing to hit 100K a month to be enough?
Not needing 100K a month to be enough.
Yeah, how about this? Repeat after me. I believe regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
I believe that regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
Say it with even more power in your chest. Open up your throat. Regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
Regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
Breathe it in deeply. Exhale and feel the energy vibrate down through your head, down to your neck. Feel it saturating every cell in your body, down to your shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. Feel it move through your upper back, your chest, your lower back, your stomach, down to your hips, your thighs, your lower legs, feet, and toes. Feel your whole body just buzzing. Regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
Regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
Feel your heart open up and expand. Breathe in this new belief. Exhale, feel it move through your heart into the timeline of your life, and it takes form there right in front of you. This new energy is taking form, replacing the old energy now. And I want you to see the colors of it, the emotions of it, and feel it now surround you and hold you in this. Regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
Regardless of how much money I'm making, I'm more than enough.
And there also feels like there's something we're going to clear right here. It's like this belief of like, there's this hole and enough money will fill it. I want you to feel this cloud energy that represents there's a hole, and if I get to enough money, I can fill it. Can you feel that right in front of you there?
Yeah.
It's like I'm always in this lack, and if I could just fill this void, then everything will be okay. I want you to feel that energy that says like there's something missing until the money's in there. I want you to feel that there. We're just going to clear the energy around this. Breathe in deeply. Exhale, and a powerful wind is going to move. It's driven by God. God can just move this easily. He picks it up and he moves it to the left. So left, God's doing all the heavy lifting. He releases that into the back. And on the other side of it is, I'm whole now.
I'm whole now.
What are you noticing?
Stillness. I just don't notice, like everything's just completely calm. All the anxiety's gone.
So this is a place you want to operate from. The stillness, this presence. This is where you do your best work. It's when you actually just allow yourself to be a vessel. God wants to use you. So just allow yourself to be the vessel. And what is the inspiration that comes up as you allow God to move down through the crown of your head, use you as a vessel, and move through your heart? Where do you feel like you want to lean into now, knowing that, hey, regardless of whether you hit that number or not, you're more than enough? Where's your inspiration right now?
Just in being calm and just flowing and just allowing.
Fuck that number. Fuck 100K.
Fuck that number, baby. Yep.
The wholeness is here right now. It's the feeling that you want. It's the wholeness. You already have it. You don't need that number. And the number is going to come a lot more easy because remember we talked about you're tuning into the radio station now. The 100K finds you in the wholeness. It doesn't find you in the anxiety or the fear. Scared money don't make no money. So this feeling of stillness is the matter-of-factness, that I'm okay, that I don't need anything, right? Neediness. You go up to a girl, you need her, you're desperate for her attention. She's like, ugh, get away from me. Money's the same way. Just be in the wholeness of being here and now, knowing you're exactly where you need to be, having this conversation with me right now in this moment that's giving you everything you need. And even this session we're getting to do now together was divinely guided. And you're receiving this. All the pieces came together for you to receive this right here, right now. so you can move forward from this place of wholeness, just flowing, detaching from outcome, because it's just an illusion. It's not real. Only thing that's real is your inspiration, your heart right now. I'm going to count you out of this relaxed state now from 1 to 5. When you come back in here, you've gone through an OS update and you can't go back. This is just who you are now. 1, I want you to feel this flood of gratitude that comes in your body. It's going, thank you, thank you, thank you. Allow the flood of gratitude of all the blessings in your life. And if you're listening to this right now, I want you to think about your health that you do have, the health of the family, of the friends and what they have. Think of the relationships, the abundance, the money you do have to buy food, to get a coffee. Feel into it, all the things, all the blessings in your life. Feel into the gratitude. Allow them flood through your body, putting into play the law of reversibility. Because when you feel this gratitude, of course, God goes, all right, you like that? What you focus on is what you get. You're going to get more of that. When you focus on what you want, you get more of what you want. When you focus on what you don't want, you're going to get more of what you don't want. So now we're in the state of gratitude because we're focusing on what we want. And we're sending the signal to God of more of this, please. 2, I want you to feel the confidence of not needing any more information to figure this out. And that 100K is just going to be a milestone you get to when the time is right. You'll get there. But your joy is the most important thing right now. 3, I want you to feel this tremendous self-love and compassion. You don't need to make yourself wrong in the past. You love yourself. You're right then. You're right now. Come into your body now. Start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. 4, feel yourself in your physical body back in this room doing this podcast. And 5, when you're ready, you can slowly breathe your eyes open.
Wow. I totally understand now why you're the GOAT, bro. That's, first of all, I'm honored. I thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I've never been able to get to that level of stillness so easily. Like I've tried like sitting down and just meditating so many times, and just the thoughts and whatever like come in so much, and it's just so uncomfortable, just not like acknowledging it, but then never reaching the stillness. Maybe it happens for like a little bit, but then another, what am I having for dinner tonight? Or I wonder why'd she text me that? You know, like anything, like it pops into the head. I actually just, there's nothing. It was like, wow.
Yeah, that's good.
Jupiter.
That's good, man. Yeah. So that's what that's why I do this for the highest performers in the world, because this is how they need to perform. Literally before I came here, I was working with one of my clients. Awesome dude. He's like the leading receiver on his team in the NFL right now. And we're just getting him into this state because like, if you're thinking about what you're doing when you're trying to do it, you just can't quite fully do it the way you would be able to if you just let it all go.
And just be in flow. Yeah. Just be.
And that's what we're doing. Just clear it out, clear it out. So that's so much of my sessions with like, even after you do the foundational work, it's like, well, what's coming up here? Because if you want to keep raising the ceiling, inevitably there will be these new self-imposed, we're expanding our reality, right? And you only know what you've been exposed to. And so we just keep expanding through this code.
There's so many different forms of like meditation, breath work, and you've talked about like shifting brain states. What just happened to me there? Like when I shifted to stillness, like what actually happened? Because I have not experienced that before. I'm kind of mind blown.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, during this conversation, you were mostly in like beta brainwave state, which is your conscious awareness state. Now, what we were able to do is get you down into probably more alpha waves. And if someone's in neuroscience, they're going to go, well, you're always kind of vacillating between these different brainwave states. But what happens is like when you're falling asleep at night, you're getting more into the alpha. And then when you fall asleep, you go into theta, and deep sleep is delta. So these are brainwave states. So we got you to actually slow down your brainwave state to actually be able to get to the subconscious, because I couldn't just talk to you and do that, right? That's why you can't just think your way through this work. It's deep. You have to feel your way through it.
I think that's the difference, is I've always, I think, approached it from a like almost logical, rational frame. Like, yeah, I'm just going to sit down on this meditation chair, and I'm going to close my eyes and, throw on some like meditation-ish music. And like let's just do the thing. Like,
Yeah.
let's schedule a time to sit down and like be still.
Yeah.
And I have struggled with that for so long. But I'm so good at doing things. Like, I'm so good at like any kind of sport or activity. And like, I kind of just wrote it off a little bit, if I'm just being completely transparent with you, like meditation as like you know what, maybe one day in the future when I'm like more chill, when I'm at 100K, when I'm whatever, some distant future, when I'm there, then I'll be more calm and I'll be more chill, and then I'll get into meditation. But I think like the big takeaway from what I just felt right there is that like, oh, I can access that whenever I want. I can be in that. I can one by one break down. I probably have a million beliefs like that are, you know, that I need to undo, or if I want to undo, not I need to undo, but like, I love that, man.
Sometimes it's just like, not everyone's for everyone, right? Like some people, they don't like what I do. You know, it's not
Makes
for
them
them.
feel uncomfortable because there's a certain level of vulnerability you have to have with yourself.
Yes.
You have to like admit to yourself, like, I don't necessarily want to get on this podcast and like have all my listeners know that like one of my like big anxieties is just money, you know, but I'd rather be real and honest with not only everyone, but myself. It's like, oh, that's something I'm carrying with me. But like, if I knew that there's a way that simply to not carry it, like, bro, I think a lot more people should be more open-minded to it.
Yeah, it's just finding the right modality for you. So like if you like this, and if anyone, like, I'm sure some people probably followed along with the exercise while we were going through this, because like very common, right? Like most people have some fears around money. So even if you guys didn't listen to this and go through the process, or you were just like watching like a fly on the wall, go through it, because we can actually clear your belief around money by doing this process. And then I have over 100 meditations on YouTube. If you search my name, it's like I have meditations where like kind of like what I do with the apps, but I just make these available for free for everyone, because like I know obviously I can't work with everyone. So what I've done is like whenever I have like a session like this and I'm like, oh, okay, beliefs around money, I literally have beliefs around money meditation. So like I have all these meditations made for anxiety, money, self-belief, self-acceptance, you name it, that I put up there. So you can go utilize these. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, like, there's different flavors for everyone, you know?
You talked about like kind of the alpha state, the beta state thing. Is that like related as well to subconscious or conscious, or?
Yeah. So you're mostly in your conscious mind when you're in that beta state. And so like I have young kids. And so right now their brains are being wired at this moment. They're in that range of 0 to 7 years old. And so when you're that age, you're constantly more in this like kind of like almost like dreamlike state where your brainwaves are moving slower than they will for the rest of your life. They're more in alpha, more in theta, which makes you receptive to receive new beliefs, and they make you very malleable. And that's why you can do this work when you slow down your brainwaves. And so when you're a kid, you could do that. But then when you become adults, a lot of us, our minds just become fixed because we're mostly in our beta state. And so we're not automatically going to be in that state. We have to use some kind of progressive relaxation, meditation, breath work's great. You know, do an intense yoga class and be in shavasana afterwards. You have to do techniques kind of to bring yourself there. Or you can kind of, when you're first waking up in the morning, you can go through this as well, because you're kind of coming out of that state. Or when you're falling asleep at night, it's good as well. That's why, like, for me, whenever like I'm like practicing my gratitude, I'm praying, I'm doing my visualization, I'm doing it as I'm falling asleep, because my brainwaves, I know, are in that very relaxed state that makes me more receptive than I do when I'm first waking up in the morning before I even open my eyes in the morning.
And so we kind of touched on this a little bit before, but if you could go a little bit deeper with some of the pro athletes, because I'm just very interested in that. Like, what are the top three? Like you kind of touched on it before, but like I want to go a little bit deeper on like the top three things that like you help them remove. Now, because now having gone through it, like I just have a different lens, because I'm not just thinking about it and hearing you talk about it. What are like the three things that a lot of them you help them remove?
Yeah. The number one is definitely the fear of judgment. You know, the belief that I need other people's approval to feel okay. So we have to transmute that into, I only need my own approval.
Does
to
that
feel
happen
okay.
in one session? Like how many?
Yeah, one session.
Yeah. Okay. What? Yeah.
Easy work for me.
That's insane, man.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, people come to me for all types of stuff. Like I talked about this when I was on Rogan. And I don't know if you believe me or not, but regardless, I had this client. He's an MLB player, and dude, he had this like really intense fear of flying. And he brought it up. I was like, "Oh, dude, you're afraid of flying? Let's get rid of that." Literally in one session, in like 10 minutes, boom, we removed that fear of flying because it's like this fixed narrative that gets stored in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we accept it fully, we can go through that process I took you through, and we can release it.
Yeah.
And just
That's like when people are like, "Oh, I'm bad with numbers. I suck at math." It's like, well, you could probably like break that down. And dude, it must be so strange though for you as well having that superpower. Cause like, what's it like for the coach going through life always thinking this way? And like, does it get overwhelming even for yourself? Like, I can just remove any belief at any time. Like, I gotta go and just like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah. Well, for me in my personal life, like I've done so much work to clean things up, but whenever I'm like coming up against something that I've never experienced before, then I just have the skill to do it for myself. So like when I was selling my company and letting go of that Jump Rope Fitness company, all these beliefs started bubbling up. Oh, if I sell this company, I'm going to lose my friend.
Mhm.
Oh, if I sell this company, then I'm never going to make as much money doing what I do next. Oh, if I sell this company, everyone in the community is going to hate me for leaving.
Mhm.
Right. So like a lot of it's like very circumstantial. Like my baseline is like, I'm just chill, bro. I don't have anything really to work through. But then when I'm in situations where I'm like going through these different transition periods, or I'm trying to expand into something new, do something I've never done before, they present themselves and I just deal with them as I come up. You know, it's like, you know, when Justin Bieber comes to me and he wants my help, which Justin, I got you whenever you're ready, bro. I'm not saying that you need help, but everyone does. I do this for myself. Everyone benefits from this. Like there will probably be some part of myself that goes like, whoa, I've never worked with someone on that level before. And I'll have to kind of like move through whatever that is at the time as it comes up. Right. So that's what I do for myself personally. And for other people, dude, I try not to judge anyone or like analyze them. I don't go, oh, that's a limiting belief. You know, I don't go, oh, that's
Right. You're not like therapizing everyone in like
No.
your own way. Yeah.
not at all. I just live my life
Yeah.
and just try to be kind and a good person. And if someone opens a container and they want some of that support, and like I asked you, I was like, do you want to go through this? And then we do it. And I do it with my friends sometimes. And if that comes up, like I'm happy to help people, but it's also very sacred work. So it's not like something I'm going to do over beers with some friends, you know, it has to be a right container for it.
How did you get mentally prepared and in the right frame of mind to go on the Joe Rogan Experience?
Couple things. Some beliefs came up. One that came up, the fear that was from the belief that if I'm seen by too many people, then I'll be rejected by those who love me most. I don't know why. I don't know where that came from, but a lot of these aren't rational, right?
Right.
But that came up. And so I had to move through that to believe that the more I'm seen, the more I'll be loved by people I care about most. And so that was like a belief that came up I had to move through. I also did a lot of visualization of like, how would it feel afterwards when I know that like I did my best, when I feel like, you know what, however it went, I feel like I did my best. And I really visualized that. I didn't try to like visualize a conversation. What are we going to talk about? How am I going to, what stories I'm going to tell? And no, I just tried to put myself into the emotional state of I finished it and I did my best and I feel satisfied. I feel good about what I did.
Wow.
I did that. And the last thing was, and you'll meet him tomorrow night, but my buddy Kian, he's a legend, right? He's like one of my best friends, and he took me through a coaching experience to just like just kind of like step in bigger. Because for me, I was coming from an energy first of like, I want to be relatable to him because I feel like we had so much in common. And he kind of like reframed it and he coached me up on like, he's like, no, dude, like he's bringing you on to have the spotlight. That's kind of funny because like it didn't end up being that as much,
Right.
but it probably would have been even less than that if I was just trying to be, yeah, man, let's just shoot the shit about whatever.
Yeah.
But he kind of like pre-framed me with like, dude, this is like your time to tell your story and to shine. Like, don't just try to be buddies. Like, tell your story.
Right.
So he coached me through that, which is really beneficial.
And look, I know you won't say this, but shit, I'll say it, man. Like Joe was giving you a hard time, bro. Joe was not letting you talk. Like, I just felt like, all respect to Joe. I mean, look, he's the GOAT in the space. He has the #1 podcast ever. He's impacted us all with thousands of episodes and so many hours of incredible conversations and with it. Typically an open mind to like a lot of people's stuff, but I feel like he kind of wrote you off early on, man, as like woo. Like, I think it was the word chakras that he just kind of turned off. Like, from when I listened to the episode, first of all, I was
like,
so,
is that stuff real?
Exactly. He just right away is like, and you're like, oh, it's not. We don't even have to like call it that.
Yeah.
Like, but he just, I feel like from there he kind of just like was like, I don't know about all this hypnosis shit, and like. I've done some like hypnosis before, and I hired somebody to help me with. When I was drinking. Now I stopped, but like when I was drinking, I would also have a cigarette. It was this 1-2 punch, this combo that I was doing, and it was getting a little bit out of hand. Not proud of it. Don't necessarily want to talk about it too much, but like, sorry, Mom. I mean, this. All right, we already talked about it, but like, I just would do that, social smokes when I was drinking, but then it was becoming not social, and I caught myself like, okay, starting to want one after lunch, starting to just smoke, and I'm using this as a crutch for anxious feelings and whatnot. And in one session, with doing some hypnosis, never touched one again. I never even want to. Yeah. So I believe in the power of this. So hopefully today I was able to give you a little bit more space to
it's incredible.
Speak about.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. I've actually never gone this in depth on any podcast about my story. So it was really felt good to have that space to
for sure, man,
share some of the details, because sometimes it feels like should I rush through this, like.
But it's tough because, man, even then, there's so many parts of the story that, like, we probably did have to skip over, whatever. But, like, my intention, bro, is, like, I actually want to develop a relationship. I want coaching from you one day. Like, that's a goal of mine. I absolutely do want to go through this and remove limiting beliefs and change my code, my operating system, because I just see so much value in that for everything in life, anything that you want to achieve. And especially those 3 identities that I was talking about right now, all of them require removing, as you call it, the governor, these things that's just limiting you. And I just think that this is work that more people need to be open-minded about. And I know you won't say that because you're kind of just like, hey, man, do you want to work with me? Yeah. Cool. If not, you're chilling either way. But I'll say it. I can sit here right now and tell you, haven't gone through even just that one thing. Like, I feel like I maybe said too low of a number. Like, maybe I should have said 1 million or something. Because, like, I just feel like that's completely, like, my shoulders, like, actually feel, like, down. Like, I feel calm. I feel like I will break through that wall with ease.
Yeah. I love that, man. Hell yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate having you on the podcast today, man. We could sit here for hours and keep going. We'll have many more episodes. I'm confident of it. Where can people find your book? How can they work with you? Now's the time. Shout it out.
Yeah. You guys can check out my book on Amazon, The Success Code. And if you're listening on Spotify, Audible, look up Program to Fail, or just search my name. You'll find it. Instagram, get in touch with me there. I post content, Brandon Epstein. And then my website, thebrandonepstein.com, is where you can check out one-to-one coaching, group programs, retreats I'm going to be going down to Colombia and starting to host retreats starting this winter. So a lot of cool stuff. So get in touch with me there.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. And just remember, it's not that deep.